Now let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball, which I feel is going to be really good this season. If the offense can give us a little and not put the defense in bad situations, then I feel this defense is going to be at the top of the Big Ten and probably top 20 or better nationally. So let's take a look at the defensive line and see who stuck out and who showed us in the spring, and did we find any surprises, especially during the spring game. First thing is the defensive line has lots of young, raw talent, and with the right development could turn out to have a few NFL prospects mixed in there. Several true freshmen and sophomores impressed throughout the spring, and especially during the spring game. So let's discuss a couple of these players that the fans will get to know probably really well and really quickly come this season, if they haven't already. The first player I noticed, and I bet a lot of you did too, is true freshman Princewill M'Wellen, as I'm excited to see this young man and see how far he goes and where he ends up after his career here. His ceiling is way up there. I mean, M'Wellen is 6'4", 230 pounds. He's an edge player, defensive end, with great quickness and speed, mainly for such a big guy. And Princewill seemed to be, during that spring game, seemed to be all over the field. He had 4 tackles, a pass breakup, and 3 of them tackles were for a loss, plus a sack for 16 yards. Another player that looked good throughout the spring and during the spring game was sophomore Elijah Judy. Judy is the transfer out of Texas A&M, 6'3", 300 pounds. He's interior defensive lineman. Had 4 tackles and a forced fumble in that game, and was also flying all over the place again, especially for such a big guy. Also, true freshman Cameron Lenhart had a great spring. He's 6'4", 245 pounds, and he racked up 4 tackles himself. So you could see, mainly with these 3 freshmen, you could see the future is bright, as all 3 are young and talented. If we can just keep them here and none transfer out, this defense has the potential to be one of the top in the nation in the next couple years. Another player that we heard a lot and we got lots of praise from Coach Rhule and his staff was sophomore A.J. Rollins, who switched from the tight end position to defensive end, that edge position, throughout the spring, and looked really good. Looked like he was a natural at it. So let's see how good he's going to be after he gets a few games under his belt at this position. Rollins showed during the spring game why Rhule and his staff bragged about him throughout the spring. AJ had 4 tackles, 2 were solos, 1 for a loss, and a pass breakup. The one thing I really noticed during the spring, and this was for the whole defense, is you saw crisp tackling, not many missed tackles, if any at all. And this was a problem last year and last season, especially early on in the season. AJ also showed off his tackling ability on several plays, which is really impressive for a young man that played on the offensive side of the ball not long ago. I feel like he's found him a position he could shine in, which probably will help him get to the NFL and get paid on Sundays. Now, Rollins did play defense in high school, but still, this is impressive for a man who just switched from the offensive side to the defensive side here in college. There were also 2 other young talented players that also made some nice plays during the spring, and that was redshirt freshman Brody Tagaloa, who also switched from tight end to defensive end, and sophomore Roquan Buckley. Buckley's an interior lineman and played on the first string squad and did a pretty good job at it. Tagaloa had 2 tackles playing on the edge, both for a loss. So you could see the future is pretty bright for this defensive front. and exciting to see where this is going to go and how much Rhule and his staff can get out of these players. I think we're going to be surprisingly happy with this, but only time will tell. The only concern I might have, or I do have, about this group is, yeah, they're very young, but they're very young and very inexperienced. Talented, but inexperienced. Plus, the Huskers lack the depth at defensive line, which is also a big concern. But we could see what they do have is very talented, and if they come around and continue to play and show what we've seen during the spring, man, look out. I think this team's going to actually, this defense is going to actually keep us in a lot of games this year. Now, injuries were also a little concerning, as edge Blaze Gunnarsson missed part of the spring due to an injury, but he was able to play in the spring game. Gunnarsson had 2 tackles during that spring game, and he actually played on both sides, on both squads, the red squad and the white one. Now, let's not forget about Nash Hutmacher, who surprisingly has come into his own this year and during the spring, giving the Huskers some added depth and another big body for that middle. Hutmacher's 6'4", 330 pounds. He's a good size, playing right in that middle up nose tackle. And Hutmacher's one of the most improved players on the team, let alone on the defense. Nash's stats won't stick out to you during the spring game, but I watched him dominate on the dominate that offensive line, as I watched him push around center Ben Scott a few times during that game, which I actually helped out them younger players I was talking about earlier and helped them get them stats we were talking about. Now, Nash has established himself as a key piece of this defensive line and will be one of the most experienced players we'll have on defense. That just shows the inexperience the defensive line is. Even though this defense is young, it is very talented. Now, we're also going to need Hutmacher to continue to play well and to shine, especially since Stephon Wynn transferred, which makes it even more concerning, as we needed all the big bodies we could get to help solidify our run defense. As defensive lineman is one position the Huskers could use a few more big bodies inside for sure. Not sure why Wynn transferred, as he was one of our more experienced linemen and would have played a lot in 2023. Probably would have been my starter on that line. I mean, maybe he took it a little personal that he was put on the second team squad during the spring game. I really don't know, but either way, this transfer is a big blow to the Huskers, and if the defense does struggle, especially in that run game, this is a big reason why it could happen. The Huskers also have 3 true freshmen coming in this summer and will be on the team when fall camp begins. So let's see how we think the starting spots might look right now going into that August game, August 31st. I expect junior Ty Robinson and junior Nash Hutmacher to start inside in that interior lineman or nose tackle position. I see sophomore Elijah Judy and true freshman Prince Will and Muellen to start at the edge position, with sophomore A.J. Rollins and true freshman Cameron Lenhart being in the rotation, getting a lot of snaps, as defensive coordinator Tony White really likes to keep the pressure on offenses and get after the quarterback. So he's going to rotate a lot of players in and out constantly to keep everyone fresh and to get that upper hand on the offense. Now, even though this group of players are young and lack experience, I expect by mid-season, this unit will be one of our strong points on this defense, and you're going to know a few of these names. Now, if you don't mind, please hit that subscribe button and help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of the month. So, thank you for your support, and go Big Red.